CIS Countdown is brought to you by Canada Safeway. Canada Safeway is a proud sponsor of the 2011 Vanier Cup, November 25th in Vancouver.
Well, you might wonder what a guy's doing sitting inside a TV studio wearing a winter jacket. Well, this jacket happens to be the official jacket of the Grey Cup Festival and the Raise the Roof campaign. And as part of the Grey Cup Festival, the Vanier Cup is one of the centerpieces of it. Of course, welcome to CIS Countdown. I'm Jim Mullen, and in my other job, I'm the Vancouver director of the Vanier Cup, and I'm very happy to report to all of you CIS fans out there, we've moved 15,000 tickets so far for the big game, Friday, November the 25th at BC Place, and we know how great BC Place is after that opening weekend with the BC Lions and the Vancouver Whitecaps playing there to some very large audiences, and it's a brand new facility all around. Now, switching the focus to the campus gridiron in this past week, we go out to Ontario where McMaster were playing their last game without their leader, Kyle Quinlan, as he comes back from a suspension. We take a look at Montreal and Sherbrooke in a real battle in Quebec, but let's go out to the Canada West. Couple of interesting games, some shootouts, and some blowouts. Here is Andrew One.
Thanks, Jim. It was another exciting week of action around the CIS. The Calgary Dinos, Western Mustangs, and the Laval Rouge et Or came into week 5 still undefeated. Could they keep their perfect records intact? 5 teams came into the week without a win. However, one would finish off the weekend with a victory. To kick things off, we'll start in the West where 2 top teams met in the Prairies. The number 9 ranked Huskies came into the game in 4th place in the CW, while the Thunderbirds were winners of 2 straight and sit at 3-1 on the year. Trent Peterson getting the start under center for the Huskies in favor of Jelani Gilbert-Norn. Peterson's first pass of the game gets picked off by Adam Konar. Peterson struggles through the air, continue a little later on. Already deep in Husky territory, Peterson locks in on the sidelines and gets picked off once again, this time by Sam Carino out of face-masking penalty to put the ball at the 1. And on 2nd and goal, Billy Green plunges his way into the end zone. Thunderbirds lead 11-1. Thunderbirds looking for more near the end of the half. Billy Green going end zone, but after the juggling act, Bryce McCall comes down with the interception. He's now just 3 away from the CIS career record. On top of that, it was Green's first pick of the season. 3rd quarter, Huskies attempting a 33-yard field goal, but it's a fake. Trent Peterson takes off, gets the first down, and that's key. A few plays later, Ben Coakwell caps the drive with a 1-yard touchdown plunge. Huskies down by just 2. But the T-Birds add to their lead. Billy Green goes to the air, hooks up with Mika Teal, 27 yards into the house, and it's an 18-12 lead for the visitors. The seesaw battle would continue. Huskies inside the 5. Coakwell with his 2nd major of the night, and it's 22-18 lead now for the Huskies. 4th quarter, Huskies offense continues to click. JGK under pressure, rolls out, finds room, he's gone. Touchdown Huskies, it's an 11-point lead. But don't count out those UBC T-Birds. Billy Green doing it himself. What a game at Griffiths. Untouched into the house. It's a 5-point game. So UBC goes for 2, and it's good as David Scott hauls it in. It's a 3-point game. Late in the game, Huskies make it 10 points. JGK again. Touchdown Saskatchewan. Huskies hang on to a 36-33 win, and it's celebration time for Brian Tauris. Ben Coakwell with an outstanding performance in this one, rushing for an incredible 205 yards and 1 touchdown. While T-Birds pivot, Billy Green threw for a game-high 382 yards, tossing 1 major, but he also picked up 3 scores on the ground while rushing for 73 yards in the loss. Shaw's Game of the Week featured the unbeaten Calgary Dinos playing host to the winless Alberta Golden Bears. Pick things up in the first Q. Dinos already up 3-0 when Matt Walter began to take things over.
A pop, still stays on his feet, and he could break it at the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, touchdown, Calgary Dinos.
The familiar voice of our very own Jim Mullen with the call. Walter breaks through, avoiding numerous tackles to rumble for a 78-yard score. Calgary takes a 10-0 lead early. But Walter wouldn't stop there. Midway through the second, he gets another major, this one a 7-yard score. And with that touchdown, Walter becomes the Dinos' all-time leader in touchdown scores. That ball's heading to the trophy case, you can bet. Calgary's in complete control now, up 34-0. Move now to the last minute before the half, and things just get worse for the Golden Bears.
Gillespie throws incomplete. Oh no, it bounces into the hands of Taylor Nill, and an immaculate reception for Nill turns into 6.
Right.
Everything's bouncing Calgary's way.
That made it 41-0 for Calgary. They would add on 20 more points and take this one in a walk. Matt Walter was the star of the game, rushing for 178 yards and scoring 3 touchdowns. Stephen Lumbala rushed for 87 yards and 1 score. Dinos QB Eric Deleski with another top performance, tossing 295 yards and 2 touchdowns on 17 of 25 passing. In the other game in the Canada West, the Regina Rams stormed back to beat Manitoba 26-18. The Bison started off with a bang when Nick Dembski taking the opening kickoff back 100 yards. Manitoba was up 15-2 early in the first, but the Rams responded with 2 touchdowns before the half and hold on for their second straight win. Rams starter Zach Olnick throws for 179 yards and 1 score, but the story again was Adrian Charles, who rushed for 186 yards and 1 touchdown in Regina's win. Some shuffling in the standings now as the Rams are now back above the playoff ledger, leapfrogging the Bisons into 4th, now holding the tiebreaker. The Dinos remain undefeated on top after romping Alberta. Saskatchewan halts a 2-game losing streak with that win over UBC. The Huskies are now in 2nd with a tie-breaking victory. We move east now to the OUA, where it was another huge weekend for the Western backfield. Windsor continued to dismiss the naysayers, and Toronto's beginning to look like its old selves again. But we'll start things off in the Kitchener-Waterloo area, where Laurier was home to Ottawa. The Golden Hawks trying to break a 3-game losing streak against the 10th-ranked GGs. First quarter, and the visitors make a big play early on the Hawks' opening possession. Shane Kelly throws a gift to Sun Boom Cha, who dances around Laurier defenders and takes it back all the way for a touchdown with his GG entourage. But wait, an illegal block takes away the score, and Ottawa's offense can't do anything with it. Midway through the quarter, and Laurier responds with a big play of their own. Not quite a design fake, but punter Nathan Hawks improvises and picks up a first down to continue the drive. It goes off his noggin, and he races towards the sticks to give his team some life. Then Kelly catches in, he airs it out to Mark Surya. Surya beats his man and makes an outstanding over-the-shoulder grab. The Hawks strike first, it's 7-0. Kelly, of course, well, he's loving it. With the score 13-3 for the Hawks in under 2 minutes before the half, Kelly airs it out downfield for Shamad Chambers, who comes down with it on the 1. That was a deadly combo throughout the game. Then just 1 play later, it's Kelly on the quarterback sneak from a yard out, and the route is on. It's now 20-3 for the home side going into the break. Third quarter, and we get much of the same as Kelly connects with Chambers for a 32 yards over the middle, and Chambers does the rest. He breaks a couple of Ottawa tackles on his way to the end zone. That made it 27-3. Later in the third, the GGs put the icing on the cake. Kelly throws his 3rd of 4 touchdowns on the day. Another bomb to, of course, Chambers. 58 yards, and the Hawks would dance to a 51-16 win over the 10th-ranked GGs in their homecoming game. In the end, Kelly and Chambers proved to be too much on this day. Kelly tossing 4 scores for 348 yards, while Chambers was a beast, hauling in 8 passes for 201 yards and 2 TDs. Laurier improves to 2-3 with the win. On the other side, Ottawa quarterback Aaron Colbon ended up 24 of 42 for 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks for him in the losing cause. The GGs drop to 3-2. The number 2 ranked team in the nation, the Western Mustangs, playing their homecoming game to the lowly York Lions. But it's the underdogs who get on the board first. Demitar Sevdin finds William Austin for a 21-yard score. York takes an early lead, but the Marshall brothers would get the home side back in it. Donnie finds Brian in the end zone on his last throw of the game, as he would leave with a sprained ankle. In the second, Stangs running back Nathan Riva took center stage. Here he scampers in for a 3-yard score to give Western its first lead. 2 minutes later, he rumbles 24 yards for another 6, but he's not finished yet. He goes 9 yards for his 3rd major of the quarter. Mustangs take a 34-10 lead into halftime. Head now to the fourth Q, and the Riva show continues. The pride of LaSalle, Ontario, scores his fourth TD of the game, and then his partner in crime, Tyler Varga, puts his name on the score sheet, earning his CIS leading 12th major of the season. Western takes it in a walk, 48-23. Nathan Riva with a monster performance, rushing for 137 yards and 4 scores, while his freshman teammate in the backfield, Tyler Varga, didn't score like Riva, but he sure did run, earning 197 yards on the day and scoring once. Western remains perfect at 4-0, while York drops to 1-4.
Give York credit, they came out and ran a lot of different stunts at us. You know, I mean, at the end of the game, you kind of they're blitzing everybody, and if you throw the ball, it's like you run the score up on them, and then you got to run into a brick wall, right? So you kind of, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
3 other games in the O from week 5. McMaster puts the hammer down on Waterloo, 46-20. Marauders pivot Marshall Fergus, tossing 284 yards and 3 touchdowns in the win. McMaster is back in the race for first at 4-1. Windsor's also 4-1, continuing its fine season, beating Guelph by a 20 spot. Kennedy with 2 TDs in that one. And finally, Queens earns a big win, their 3rd straight on the year, beating Toronto by a touchdown on the strength of a punt block return late in the 3rd. Take a look now at the standings in the OUA. Western maintains its hold of the top spot, while McMaster and Windsor keep pace. Ottawa and Queens lead Laurier and Toronto by just 1 game, while lowly Waterloo are still in search of its first win. Switch gears and turn our attention to the Q, where the juggernaut in Rouge continued to mow down its competition, and the conference's lowest scoring team still can't seem to find a way to win. But we'll begin in Sherbrooke, where the Vert were playing host to their provincial rivals in blue. It was a battle between 2 3-1 teams. Number 4 ranked Montreal Carabins visiting the 5th ranked Vert. The Carabins marching late in the first quarter. Alexander Nadeau-Puis gets them inside the red zone. He takes it himself, scampers to the outside, dives towards the end zone. He's just short down to the 1-yard line. On the very next play, Nadeau-Puis finishes it off, tucking behind the offensive line to score and give Montreal the 7-0 lead. It's now 7-3 to start the second half when Sherbrooke finally wakes up. Returner Raphael Gagne breaks it to the outside, cuts back to the inside, and gets by the entire Montreal cover team. Just one man left to beat, and that's the Carabins kicker, and it's no contest. Gagne dives into the end zone to finish off with an incredible 104-yard kickoff return to put the Vert ahead. The next possession, Montreal trying to answer. Nadeau-Puis looking for his receiver, J.C. Morin-Phaneuf, and he deflects off his hands. Sherbrooke's Alexander Branco is right there to pick it off, and he's got nothing but daylight ahead of him. Phaneuf takes it back 40 yards to put the Vert up by 10, and the Sherbrooke defense did the rest in a big win at home. The Vert win 20-11 to improve to 4-1 on the year, nipping at the heels of Laval for first in Quebec. Jeremy Doyen-Rock didn't have to be spectacular with 2 big plays on defense and special teams. He finishes 12 of 19 for 120 yards. On the other side, Puis throws for 201 yards and adds 77 on the ground in the loss. Montreal will try to rebound against the Rouge at home on Saturday. Sherbrooke also plays Saturday, hosting Bishops in the Mayor's Cup. In Laval, the number 1 ranked Rouge proved their dominance over the conference, at least the bottom feeders. They remain perfect through 5 games with a 37-4 beatdown of Concordia, who put up just 60 yards of total offense in the loss. Laval puts up 336 yards offensively, including 214 on the ground. Sebastian Levesque racked up 192 of those yards for the Rouge, who are in Montreal, as mentioned, on Saturday. In the other game in the Q, Bishop scores 13 unanswered points to keep McGill winless. Jordan Heather with a big game for the Gators, throwing for 324 yards and 2 scores in the win. His 10-yard touchdown pass to Quincy Vandecruz is the difference in the 5-point win. Bishops is now 2-3, but Laval continues to sit comfortably atop the standings at 5-0. While with the win over Montreal, Sherbrooke now sits alone in second after the Vert home victory over the Carabins. Concordia and Bishops are locked in the 4th spot, and McGill are still looking for its first W. We wrap things up with scores from around the AUS. In the battle of the conference's top teams, St. Mary's held off the previously unbeaten Acadia Axemen, beating them 8-3 in a riveting game. A 51-yard connection between Jesse Mills and Matt Toogood was the difference in that one. The Huskies pull into first place in the conference with the win. In the one other game, St. FX earns its first win of the 2011 campaign, winning 24-17 over Mount Allison, who are still without a win this season. Ashton Dixon's 3-yard touchdown with $1:17 to go broke a 17-all tie and pushed the X-Men to the win. St. FX QB Jamari Bennett throws for 238 yards and a touchdown in the victory. Quick peek at the standings in the A, and St. Mary's and Acadia are both sitting on top with records of 3-1. Well, after its win over Mount Allison, St. FX are now alone in third. That's the week that was in the CIS. Let's send things back to Jim Mullen.
When we return, I will cut some of these tags off that I didn't take off when it came out of the packaging. And then we'll take a look at University of Calgary receiver Chris Dobko, who has really stepped up for the Dinos this year, replacing the likes of Anthony Parker and Nathan Kuhorn in the lineup. And we'll talk to Jim Donlevy. He's the football convener for the Canada West. You're watching CIS Countdown.
There's a look at BC Place all lit up downtown. The new stadium's already hosted 2 sporting events. The Lions and the Eskimos hosted over 50,000 fans on Friday before the Vancouver Whitecaps of the MLS took to the pitch on Sunday. But in less than 2 months' time, November 25th, in fact, it'll be the Vanier Cup's turn to take center stage under the retractable roof. Tickets are still available for the first Vanier Cup championship on the West Coast. Visit vaniercup.com for more information. A team that certainly won't be playing in the Vanier Cup is the Alberta Golden Bears, who are off to an ugly 0-5 start to the season. It's definitely been a tough year for the green and gold, but the program has a rich tradition of winning. Bears have won 3 Vanier Cups, and the man to lead them to 2 national titles was their legendary head coach, Jim Donlevy. In his first season in 1971, Donlevy directed Alberta to the championship game, losing by a point to Western. But they finished the job the next season, going 9-1 and winning the Vanier Cup in 72. He would win his second ring 8 years later as the Bears beat up on Ottawa. Jim Mullen is with the legendary Alberta head coach in Calgary.
Thank you very much, Chad. Back here in Calgary, joined by Jim Donlevy, the football convener for the Canada West. First of all, we've got a little height thing here. Well, you step up on the box. Is that? No, I don't like that. No. That doesn't work. You got the upper hand on me there.
Do it all the time.
Like I said, this is reality TV, so we'll stick with reality. Tell me first of all about this football summit and the off-season leading into this season and how it set things up for Canada West.
It was one of the most productive things that I've been associated with in all my time in Canada West football. It was initiated by the coaches back in our meetings at the Vanier Cup last year, and the coaches said, look, why don't we get together? There's a lack of communication between coaches. There's a lack of communication between coaches and officials. Let's get together and really have a good dialogue. And so Val Schneider and Dick White from the University of Regina sort of urged us to get Jim Daly involved. You know, Jim Daly, with all his experience and all his with both at the league office and as a coach in CIS football and in professional football, was just outstanding in terms of being an expert in that meeting. And the meeting was tremendous in the sense that it really opened up communication among all the levels, the referees and the coaches and each other. And as a result, across, we played 4 games now, and I'm just very, very pleased with the attitude and the approach that the coaches are taking. If they have an issue with another team, they contact the coach, and it's very, very professional. And I'm very pleased that the coaches had the initiative to get that thing done, and it really went very, very well, Jim.
But that's always the biggest challenge with Canada West. When you take a look at the other conferences, the OUA, Quebec, and Atlantic, everybody's in the same area. It's easier to get people together and get people on the same page. So that's got to be a tremendous achievement for you guys to be able to pull people together in one place at the very start.
It was amazing because as the officials from each of the 6 cities talked about how they dealt with certain calls and so on and so forth, there was some disparity there. And now they're communicating more. And Brian Small was involved in that as well, and his leadership as the referee-in-chief was really most helpful overall, and we're just working hard at this thing to try to get it better. You know, one of the big issues, Jim, was headshots and all that sort of stuff, and you recall the opening game here last year with Saskatchewan and Calgary. We had an incident happen that kind of exploded and caused all kinds of headaches. Well, now, not unlike hockey, we're trying to address that whole business of the headshots and safety of the players. And boy, I think that we're accomplishing it. It ain't perfect yet, but we're working on it.
Jim, on another topic, both you and I are on the Canadian Football Hall of Fame committee. I was very proud to see Chris Flynn inducted into the Hall of Fame here in Calgary a couple of weeks ago. This is really a huge step ahead for recognition of the university and junior game in Canada, isn't it?
There's no question about it, and Chris certainly was a most worthy inductee. I think that you know, his record speaks for itself. We don't need to go there, but in any length, because it's all there. But there are so many great athletes playing football in Canada, in across the CIS, as well as coaches and in junior football. And this is a vehicle now to move the focus a little bit. You know, it's not a CFL Hall of Fame. It is a Canadian Football Hall of Fame, and that's what it's all about. And the fact that George Black and others in the CFL who were kind of running the thing said, look, we got to start recognizing some of those other guys who make an incredible contribution. And now with more and more CIS kids and junior kids, look at that running back from Calgary here yesterday. I mean, from the Stampeders. I mean, here's a guy who played junior football. Those kinds of kids are making a contribution to the professional level, and it's great that we recognize them in their amateur days.
Jim, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, Jim.
Back to Chad in Vancouver.
Alberta has a scholarship in Dunleavy's name, awarding it annually to a Golden Bears player who's dedicated to their craft on the field and in the classroom. Staying in Alberta, the Calgary Dinos are looking strong in their bid for a 4th straight Canada West championship. Despite a new quarterback and some turnover on offense, the Dinos are 5-0 and on top of the conference. And a big contributor to the undefeated season is third-year receiver Chris Dobko, who's putting up career numbers. He leads the Canada West with 6 receiving touchdowns. Shaw Calgary has more on Dobko's breakout season.
Dinos third-year slot back Chris Dobko hasn't caught everything thrown his way this football season, but just about. The product of St. Albert hauled in 3 touchdown passes in Calgary's last game, the 51-1 blowout of the Rams in Regina, and he leads the conference in all the major receiving categories. That's not too shabby for a player originally ticketed for the University of Alberta, but who decided to come here and has known nothing but success in his first 2 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. We've been 2 Vanier Cups. I'm 8-0 against the U of A as being a Dino, so I'm pretty happy with the decision I made.
Chris, what about the Vanier Cups to get so close 2 years in a row and then come away without it?
Oh, it hurts. It's tough, especially the first one. You don't realize how bad the first one felt until you lose the second one, because especially the way we lost the first one. Biggest comeback in Vanier Cup history by the Queens. Like that one really hurt, because that's the ring you should have had already going into the second one. But it's definitely hard.
Yeah, and there's the feeling that, oh, well, we'll be back next year, until you realize how hard it is and what a long road it is.
Oh, yeah, we played 4 playoff games that are all tough to get to the Vanier Cup. Like, it's not easy to keep going to them. The fact that we went to 2 is amazing, right in back-to-back. But still, you always hope you can go again and again and again.
Last year, big Eric Glavich at quarterback. This year, little Eric Daleski. What's your assessment so far? How the young man's handled himself?
He's been well. He's improved on last year. He's confident. He's a gunslinger. He's got a rocket. He slings the ball in there right inside of 30 yards. It's just a dart.
It was one of those Daleski darts to Dobko with just 21 seconds to play that helped the Dinos get their football season off on a winning start in Game 1 in Winnipeg. And if the early returns are any indication, the pair is going to be hooking up on many more pass completions as Calgary again makes a bid to get back to the Vanier Cup. And should that prove the case, you know Chris Dobko will be hoping it'll be third time lucky.
Dobko and Daleski have helped Calgary remain near the top of the CIS Top 10 rankings for a 5th straight week. The Dinos are still number 3 on the list behind Laval and Western. The Rouge et Or gaining 24 first-place votes after their dominant 37-4 victory over Concordia. Western got 5 of those first-place ballots, romping York in a rout 48-23. Sherbrooke leapfrogs Montreal into 4th in the rankings after its win over the Carabins, who dropped to 6th. Saskatchewan also moves up 2 spots into number 7 after hanging on to beat the now 9th-ranked UBC Thunderbirds. And at the bottom of the top 10 list is the 4-1 Windsor Lancers, who return to the board after a 2-week absence. A lighter schedule this coming weekend. The Canada West is taking a break from the gridiron while 4 OUA teams enjoy a bye week. But the 2 top undefeated squads, Laval and Western, are in action as they continue to duke it out for that number 1 ranking. Rouge et Or are on the road in Montreal to battle the 3-2 Carabins. Mustangs go up against the 1-win Guelph Griffins at home. For everyone at CIS Countdown, I'm Chad Klassen saying have a great Thanksgiving weekend. Just a reminder to viewers out there, we're taking a 1-week hiatus, but we'll be back in 2 weeks with more CIS football. See you then. CIS Countdown is brought to you by Canada Safeway. Canada Safeway is a proud sponsor of the 2011 Vanier Cup, November 25th in Vancouver.